So we'll see if we can touch base with both of y'all on that. Please go on thirdsideconvo.com and subscribe and just recognize and let us know again if you're interested in being on the show. Please let us know. And other than that, we'll be back next week for another Third Side Convo. Thank you.
Sorry, Don.
Right.
But you walked
Yeah,
and I noticed Eddie didn't know it. Eddie didn't have it on his fingertips, and I couldn't let it go. I'm like, Bob, let me jump in. Let me but you're not on the show. I'm like, I gotta jump in on this one. He just said all black women. I can't let that stand.
Right. I meant to say the 5 black women, the point that I was making. So I did say 5 all women. I said, I did. And that's the problem. I said I cleaned it up. I said the 5 women. I put my hand up to the 5 women I was talking about.
But the thing is everyone has been using that talking point, saying he says all women are dumb.
Right. Yeah, that just got you upset. I know. Well, no, but that's the problem. It's what Eddie was saying earlier. We throw out things like Nazi and we throw out things like racist. Don, like I said, I wasn't planning on you being so reasonable. I mean, I really wasn't. Not that you're not. But I'm just saying, it's these throwing out of these terms that are just, why are you doing it?
Bob, are you saying Joe Bishop should have gone against Eddie?
Well, we could have. That would have been, it'd been a little more exciting.
But Joe Bishop carries a gun.
That could have been the predictable thing to go at each other, but the predictable thing was actually shooting facts back. We're going back and forth. And the saying about the racist things, and I think Eddie can agree like that. As being African American or being around African American people like that, I know what a true racist is, and I can, a true racist is a person who's not going to have nothing to do with you, not going to talk to you, won't have you in the house, won't have you around, won't even put his hand on you. And I came across those people that don't even talk to you because you're color skin. They won't even have nothing to do with you. So anybody who's, and I think there was so those people are out there and they have a lot of power, but they're in behind the scenes. And like I said, going back to the Nazis, the real Nazis, those are some vicious ass people, man. These people, the real Nazis, anybody have an idea? There is no more like Nazi like those people out there. They're gone, man, because there'll be a lot more havoc in this world if they were still out there. You know what I'm saying?
I have an interesting statement about that is unpopular. But I wonder if we were on the wrong side of history with the Nazis.
It's a question.
What do you mean by that?
Oh my gosh!
It's a question. It's a question. I see where he's coming from. I can hear.
I got to hear this.
No, I don't know where he's coming from. What are you talking about? This is good. What are you thinking?
So, premise that I understand, limited understanding. Premise that I understand is that the part that everyone's up in arms with, not the innovation, not the push for education, not the demand for higher calling for individuals, because those were pillars that they had as well, right? They wanted everybody to be better. They wanted their community to be better, blah, blah, blah. What everyone's up in arms about is the Holocaust, right? So the word Nazis used as a whole, he's the worst person in the world. He did all this damage and he killed all these people. But the question is, what were his true motivations and why? And then, was he the worst? Because he wasn't. If you look at numbers, he was not the worst by far.
What are you talking about? Like Stalin? You're talking about like Stalin or Mao Zedong or whatever, right?
Even go back down to biblical days.
Yeah. So the word Nazi thrown around like, oh, that's the worst thing ever. But who started that narrative that they were the worst ever? And what was the essence for building the quote unquote Nazi empire? What were their pillars that actually were positive pillars that we currently, and different, maybe a different shade of it, but we currently push for our own society and our own communities. They're basically no different than what they were doing in meeting at frustration or in a maybe not the greatest or best executive decision, but eliminating any threat to the survival and expansion and growth
right.
of the people that he was responsible for. Is it any different than coming to a country or a nation and lying, stealing, and pillaging and raping those people that trusted you to enslave and steal an entire continent? Is it any different? To me, it's not.
Well, that's the part where the middle part came in, where the cruelty of doing that, of killing them and exterminating them came in. That's just got the one a little far.
How's it cool?
But you got to go back. You got to go back in the history of Jewish people anyway. Back in biblical days in Egypt, back in the Egypt time, when the Jewish people were slaves, they treated them horribly. You know, they were used for everything under the sun. They were used for. So you can go back.
How many countries have that group of people being kicked out of historically?
Yeah, so
collectively, how many countries?
Everywhere. But you know, if you really want to go and do it by body count of how many were smited, then you're going to have to really go with a negative opinion, because God did flood the earth for 40 days and 40 nights and smited everybody.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but before that, you know, like I said, back in the Egyptian Jewish slaves, they were treated horribly. I mean, millions for years, or they were enslaved for millions of slaves. They were doing every freaking thing. And so when Hitler came, his thing was that he still had that taste, but he just went a little too far, because
Don, you gotta let him talk. When you see him move his hand, he's trying to talk. You gotta listen too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But why though? Why? Why?
Yeah,
because
he felt threatened.
Why was the enslavement happening, and why was this continuous push out of countries, push out of nations, push out of tribal areas? Why is it a part of this group's history that no one wants to talk about?
Yeah,
why is it?
Right. That's
because the victor is the one who writes the history books.
Well, if it wouldn't have been Yom Kippur today, Eddie, we could have had a couple of our Jewish panelists on, but it's Yom Kippur today, so I don't know if they'd really want to talk about day. But you're right. I mean, Jews have been kicked out of more countries than most anybody. There's no question about that. The animus and prejudice against Jews goes way back.
But why?
Well,
because they claim themselves to be the chosen ones by God, and I think they're jealous at that.
Well, partly.
That's solely it. I don't think that's solely it.
No, but some people do believe. Well, there are people that believe because the Jews killed Jesus, that type thing, or whatever the case may be.
It goes back. It goes back to that. It goes back to that. It goes back into why they were slaves and everything else. And certain people, as we do right now, it's like the same thing. You try to take down, you get it happens all the time, even in sports and everything. It happens in sports when there's always like a person that's doing great. There's always that group that's going to try to tear you down. There's always going to be that one group because they don't like what you're doing. I always say like Michael Jackson, for example. Michael Jackson had millions of fans, but he also had millions of fans that hated him too. Because they presumed that he did something. And they hate him because he presumed that he did something they didn't like. So he got a group of those people. And then the politics is the same thing. And they got a group of people that don't like you. There's going to be people that like you, but there's more. And it's just like how you enroll people into whatever you're doing. And that's what people do. If I'm going to enroll you into a college, I'm going to tell you all about my college. I want you to go to my college.
But you're also saying part of it is you're saying, Don, is that the Jews have historically overperformed. In some cases, I mean, it wasn't always this way, but monetarily, executively, whatever,
So are you implying by struggling constantly?
Yeah.
They can excel because they've always been struggling?
Well, the tag of being the chosen one, that's always stick with people. And when you always say, I'm number one or I'm the best, and like that. So there's always people going to resent you, with the head Cheetos. I'm the best. I'm there like, man, you ain't the best, I put my pants on like you. What makes you better than me? And in the culture of the Jewish people, they always out there were the chosen one. Like what Bob said, we're better than everybody else, and that stigma has been put on them, not unfairly or not just unfairly, but that stigma that they're the chosen one, and people resent that. And
okay.
so,
Eddie, what's your
It
thought?
affected other cultures differently.
What's Eddie's thought on that one?
I don't think that that's necessarily them thinking that they're the chosen ones, whether they are or not. I'm not disputing that, and nor do I think that it was the best option for what happened. However, I do think that, to your point, the idea of thinking that you're the better, you're untouchable. It's not about thinking it. It's about the behavior that begets. I think that is the issue that they have had in my mind, and I know very little, but that's the issue that I think has been created. And then the emboldenment of doing certain things from that position of or that posture of being better than and being untouchable because we are said group. And I think that my from my initial point, I think that maybe Hitler had a shorter fuse or low temperament for that. And I think that maybe his leadership had so as well. And they made a decision that I don't necessarily agree with. Trust me, I don't. But I think that was a threat to what they were trying to build and the society in which they were in at the moment. It threatened beyond them just having a political discourse and expelling back, because I believe at that point they may have had their hands in too much that would have been almost impossible to reverse without taking the measures that he possibly could.
Well, Eddie, I mean, Eddie, remember though, but he believed in the white Aryan nation, and anybody that wasn't part of that needed to be gone. And so, but what you're saying is, yeah, was his intent good? That's what's funny is I've always said that I can justify even a mass murderer, but you can't do that. You know,
in every war, everybody thinks they're the good guys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
why I think the leaders should do the fighting and not the people.
Right. So I take it Chris didn't hang around, right?
He did not. He left pretty early on.
That's good. No,
he did not stick around.
Guys, we've always wanted to try it with two people and see how it works. What we'll have to do,
I've been here the
I think
whole time.
sometimes with the volume, the noise, and everything else, because I know we can hear Don a lot better than Eddie. Eddie's coming through pretty well now. But yeah, it's how do we get this back and forth, okay? We'll have to work on that, a challenge a little bit, because it actually has been fun just seeing two people talking. I mean, I thought y'all did well. I didn't know where it was going to go. I mean, it's funny. Here we go from racism to, now the Holocaust and all this other stuff. But
it would be an interesting subject to talk about.
I know
things about race that we could get where, is there racism in other ways besides just white people?
Right.
Because there's still slavery going on now. It ain't white people.
Oh, no doubt, man. There's black people who are racist too, man. Don't get me wrong. So people that say, and I always say it because it's a racist. When people say racist thing, not necessarily are racist. They just spewing stuff, not realizing what they're doing. But when you do it, because we all got that, and I like what one of our favorite comedians always says. He goes, "In America, man, we're prejudiced. That's our God-given right to be prejudiced in America. We're not racist, but we're prejudiced. But we are, and that's just the culture that around the world that happens. Yeah. You do get prejudice, and like anything else, you prefer who you like and what you do, But if someone points it out to you, our problem is when someone points it out, you have to accept that what they pointed out and say, "Hey, look, man, you're messing with other folks. You're harming other people."
Yeah,
and that's the part we have to get to.
Because, those type of labels just aren't positive.
Yeah,
and next time you're on, you're gonna either get angry or raise your head when you're talking, so he knows you're talking. Because a lot of times he was talking over you because he didn't know you were talking. And it could be your mic's volume, or it could just be you got to just get angry a little bit, which would be fun.
Well, we're all learning. We're all learning how to do this, guys. But thank you so much for being on the show. And we will.
Sorry to give you the fireworks, Bob.
No, Don, you didn't. Where you screwed up was you didn't call him a racist. So whereas last show, both the people on the left said yes to being a racist. And so you go, no. And I'm going, oh, crap, where do I go now? So I wasn't ready.
Because once I call him a racist, it's over. So I know the clever way. So I call him a racist.
Don,
I don't call him racist. I get more to talk because
I know. A cop out.
Yeah, so once I call him a racist, it's over.
He's not a racist.
I know.
Because nobody will start listening to me then, you know.
Hey, Don, you're exactly right, and that's the problem with our discourse is we just call people racist.
If you point it out,
whatever.
If you point it out and say, then you get a chance to point the racism out, but you have to explain it. But you say he's a racist automatically, people shut down. You know, you don't get a chance to come back. So, he say a racist thing. He could be a racist. So that's to put it into a question that I'm questioning him now. Before I wasn't questioning him. Now I'm like, now I'm gonna start looking. You know, the thing is, we want to put people in questions. Question everything. Look at it before you know.
All right. Well,
okay,
Don,
you know what? I asked Bob to do it by text, and he didn't see it and all that. So it probably ended up being another show. But do you think Trump is?
Trump is not a racist.
Oh, please tell me I have that recorded. Please
tell me I have
that. He does racist stuff, but he's not a racist. Like I said, he does racist stuff, but he's not a racist. Trump puts his hands on black people, talks to black people, shakes hands with black people. John King
Whitney's coming back in. Chris
Whitney is real racist would not do that. That's what I keep telling people. Somebody who is truly a racist will not have nothing to do with you. Won't touch you. Won't be around with you. Be washing their hands. A real racist person. Trump is like anybody else in this country. They got racist. They say racist stuff and like that. Necessarily a racist because he got black people he hung around with, sits with. A real racist will never do that. Now, Stephen Miller is the closest one I think it might be. Oh, I said his name.
That's all right. He's appointed. It's okay.
I've never seen him with any black people. I've never seen him touch anybody.
Okay. Give me a minute. I'm trying to get Chris Whitney in because I didn't realize that he has joined back and I can see his camera. So I am trying to.
Left.
Huh? You never left.
I never left. I just turned off my camera.
Well, that was to me. I couldn't see you, and so therefore you were gone, in my opinion. And so I apologize for my failure as a juicer. I would
like to interject a point that came up earlier.
Give me a second. Let me get you on camera.
Hold on. He's gonna put you in there, Chris.
Oh, in
you on camera.
Hold on. There we go. He's working on it. You're gonna be in a second.
Okay. And so let's do this and go, Chris. Oh, no, wait.
Wait.
There I am.
Hold on. He'll get you there. He's got to do one more thing. Oh, he's next. There you go.
Go ahead and talk, Chris.
There we are.
All right.
I want to go back to something that Eddie said earlier. And you know, the Nazi party itself came from, after World War I, the entire world devastated the German economy. They were starving, their money was worthless, and they piled on the debt that all the other nations had incurred from the war upon Germany, which meant there was no way out. Hitler and his team began feeding the people. And that's why the entire country, they were proud of being Germans, right? That was the hook that brought all these guys together. And it became very dark and evil at the end, but it started with feeding the people. And so all the crap that happened because of the end of World War I created the monster. And so it's never a popular conversation to have.
Because the Jewish people were taking care of each other and more, so people started resenting them because they had their community more together than anybody else. And that's what probably just shot it more, because people started resenting because, hey, say what you want about the Jewish people or anything like that. They take care of their own. They make sure their person is taken care of. They make sure their people are taken care of first. And not necessarily wrong with that, but that's what you do in a tribe, and you take care of your tribe first, and the other people come second.
Though we may have race issues, we are not one nationality. We're not all Germans. We're not all English. We're not all French. We are a true melting pot. The only slight deviation are our skin colors, right? And to another point that came up earlier, I think affirmative action had its place. There was a time, no matter how smart a black person was, they weren't going to get that job, right? So I think the pendulum swung radically the other way. That probably a lot more people got jobs than may have deserved them. Because it was true, for a very long time there wasn't those opportunities. Now, that's 50 years ago, right? This is 2025. In the 70s, the boat was relatively balanced. There's been a long time. So the pendulum is swinging back to the other way, saying, okay, everybody's sort of had their shot. Now let's just go back to merit, right? And everybody's making fun of Pete Hegseth in the military, but I think the mentality of a Department of War, we have ambassadors, we have social workers, we have all these categories that go in and give the big hugs. Our War Department is to go in and blow up stuff. That's their only job. They're not peacekeepers. They're not UN guys coming with blue helmets. Their job has one mission, and it's to break whatever they're pointed at. And we had swung so far the other way that they weren't in shape. They weren't looking like military. One of the best things some of the most troubled kids I've ever known have gone through is basic training. They were punks. The judge says, go in the Army or go to jail. They went in the Army, and they came out men with discipline and respect and training they were never going to get in a K through 12, right? So as soon as you start eradicating that, a drill sergeant, he's only going to have you for 6 weeks. He's got to be, in your face for 6 weeks to change your life. And I watched a young black man who married one of our nieces. He was a mess. He was dealing drugs. He was doing all these horrible things. He came out. You didn't recognize the young man, and he became an honorable husband and father to these kids that he wasn't going to take care of in any other way. So there is something to be said for creating warriors, and you're going to put that on. We call warriors, kids that are playing football. Those kids are going out to compete, learn to be leaders, do other things. Our guys that go in the military are there to learn focus mission.
Hey, Chris, there are a lot of people upset. There's a lot of people that said what they've said about the military was horrible. I see Eddie nodding as you're talking, Chris, but I actually thought we were going to do that show this week. I've got to see whether you're around next Thursday. You'd be great to be on the show. You'd be great to be. Well, because I got in a long argument or a long discussion with somebody today about it, saying, so I think it would be a good topic because it's apparently upset a lot of people, Chris.
Yes.
I think it's a good topic to talk about because what is their job?
That'd be a great one. Yeah, because there's some issues that he just raised, and there's some other issues that people are not aware of that's in the military, like the beard thing, down to the exercise and doing there's a lot more issues that's been implied.
Have they allowed purple hair now?
Yeah,
to accommodate.
Well, the beard thing is, it's kind of discriminatory against people who have razor bumps, So and they got rid of. Yeah, because this is a fact. A lot of black people, a lot of brown skinned people get razor bumps. So they put a policy in they had a medical exemption when they had a medical exemption. If they got razor bump, they had a medical exemption in the military to bypass it. Now they got rid of that medical exemption. So that's going to eliminate a lot of brown skinned people who have razor bumps to be in the military. So, why did you do that? It's going to just,
I thought the point that Hegseth made that said everybody's going to do PT, including the 4-star generals.
Right.
And you caught that little snippet from the lowest level to the highest level. And if you look at Pete, he's in shape too.
So not just enlisted.
Well, you see him do push-ups. No.
Hold on. Patty said something there. Let's let Patty speak.
She's hiding in the background.
Okay, Patty, what was that, sweetie? What was that?
What did I say?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's good, though. I mean, what do you think of the fat
generals, just off camera.
Fat generals and fat admirals comment? What did you think of that, Patty?
I think they should all be in shape. I think it should be part of the health regime. I think enlisted and officers, it should be part of that service.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed
warriors.
You've been able to keep
warriors.
Well, yeah, exactly, and you've made sure that Chris stayed in shape too. So
commander in chief.
That's right.
That doesn't make me popular.
No, it doesn't. Not about being popular.
The commander in chief.
It's about
so the president has to be in shape too, right? Because he's commander in chief. So the president.
Oh man, I'm gonna hit you for that.
He's a civilian.
That's it.
No, it's actually a valid point. The other person I was discussing this with today said the same damn thing. But I think we will. Let's see. Maybe next week we're going to do it on the military and see whether or not we're all falling apart. But that'd be a great show. I'll have to.
After show always end up being more fun.
Make America healthy again. I believe in this stuff.
Well,
although I'm not sure we need to get rid of all vaccines, but it is possible that we're giving maybe too many because there's some outcomes that you don't expect. Whether you love or hate COVID vaccines, when you give something to 350 million people, there are going to be some people who die just because everybody's a little bit different and somebody's going to be allergic, right? So, requiring people to take all those things, I think it's okay to push back. And I hope we're proved wrong, that all 70 vaccines that our children are getting today are absolutely necessary. I would love to see somebody challenging that. I have a feeling that they're going to come back and say, well, maybe 45 are good. And the other ones are just making money for Pfizer.
Well, I can say I'm down to 210 pounds, and it's mainly because I've been switching to carbonated water. I can now carbonate my own water, and I drink a lot of water now, and removing soda from my diet. And it's made a big difference.
There you go. Exactly.
Water helps.
All right, guys. Well, any other thoughts? If not, we will see y'all later. And thank you so much for pulling this off, guys. I really appreciate it. It was kind of neat to see a one-on-one. Hadn't done one before. That was really good. And so please check us out. Check out our other videos. Please subscribe. Go on Third Side. But really, more than anything, comment. And we'd love for you to join us. If you're interested, please leave some comments, leave some information, and we'll get back to you. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Don and Chris and Patty.
See you guys.
My man.